This is a video about how I turned a real lemon into this squishy lemon character. This is a piece of fan art based entirely on comics that you can buy at 2B or not 2B. Here's their Etsy page. If you go there, you can buy the comics, and I recommend it. Obviously, I'm a fan. I chose this character because I just like that little face. I like that little frown it's got on its mug. Obviously, flipping through the comics, you can see a variety of expressions. It's a fully formed character, but this is just the one that appealed to me. So I start out with, first step is mixing the silicone rubber for the mold. And as you see, I suspended the lemon in the mold with these wires, poked holes through the actual lemon, and you'll find out in a few minutes that that was actually the wrong thing to do because it released a bunch of lemon juice into the silicone and that inhibited the cure. There's nothing in the direction that say don't put lemon juice in the mold, but I guess I just had to find out for myself. So I went through the whole process of creating the mold and then pouring this yellow silicone into the mold, which I really love. I took a shot of this because that mica powder that I mixed into it makes it really shimmery. And when I break it open, I find that it indeed did not cure. So there's probably three things going on. One is lemon juice. Another is temperature. I wasn't minding the temperature. It was probably too cool in the basement. Also, I learned that in order to get this squishy kind of silicone to cure correctly, you have to put it in a certain kind of silicone mold. And this blue stuff that I was using at first was not the right kind of mold. So start all over again, but this time use a smaller mold so I don't waste as much if I make a mistake. And I didn't puncture the lemon. It smells very lemony. It's quite lemony. Well, the test is, oh yeah. Lots of little dimples in there. Also in this attempt, I changed my strategy a little bit to make a perfect copy of the lemon in resin, which does cure in this particular kind of silicone mold. Okay, now come out and see the world from your little cocoon. Da-da-dum! It's the lemon. The plan for this next phase is to create a face and arms and legs out of Sculpey, which is a polymer clay. It doesn't react with silicone, so it's safe to cast in silicone. I'm going to glue that on. Right now I'm just sort of modeling it on that resin lemon. But I'm going to glue it on with hot glue, which also doesn't react with silicone, and then cast the whole thing all in one piece, arms, legs, face, everything. It didn't work out exactly as I had envisioned it, but I did use what I learned during this phase to create a successful object in the end. But this is as much about me learning how to make an object like this using this material as it is about making the thing itself. My only education was by watching Crafsman videos, and even though he's very thorough, I feel like I need to make the mistakes in person to know why or why not something will actually work. So here's one of the ways I came up with preparing a two-part mold. I had to create a structure with a wire hanger and a piece of scrap wood so that I could suspend this character halfway in a flask, fill it up halfway with silicone, and then fill it up the rest of the way once the bottom half had cured. Also, since I don't have a vacuum tank that usually people use to suck all the bubbles out of silicone as it cures, I use this little hand massager to shake the bubbles out, and it does a pretty good job, I think. I made a blunder. Actually, I made two small blunders. The first one was that when I stuck these limbs on, I intended to make them symmetrical so that I could cast the bottom half and then cast the top half. But I didn't make this leg symmetrical enough, so it was sinking into the bottom half of this flask. So that was the first blunder. The second blunder was I tried to kind of pull it out with this tool, and I broke it. So that's a problem. So I've been working on a fix maybe, to see if I can possibly salvage this little fellow. I've been doing this sort of a surgery. Yeah, you can see that. Using this this tool here that's usually used for carving out linoleum blocks. Thought maybe that would be a good thing to use to just slice out some of this silicone rubber in the shape of a leg to approximate what it might have looked like if I had done it right. This is a sharp edge right here. Well, I finished what I can using this tool and this X-Acto knife. It's really an uncanny experience trimming this stuff. It's just like flesh. It looks like this flesh right here. I don't know. If you've ever like sort of trimmed off a hangnail? It's kind of like that, but there's no sensation. It's just like you just kind of really strange. Anyway, I'm gonna mix up the next half of the this stuff and pour it in there, and then let it sit and see what happens. Now I'm going to vibrate the bubbles out of this as much as I can, and then let it sit for about 16 hours, and then we'll just see what happened. Okay. Okay, I just did some surgery here. Cut out this bit so that I can pour the rest of the silicone in there. And it looks like I might get, well, I'll definitely get some good details of the pores, and I hope that the eyes and the mouth get filled in. You can kind of see the detail on the inside. I hope that they just kind of, the silicone seeps in here underneath.
I didn't want to cut out too much, but yeah, it's still pretty uncanny to cut this flesh-colored stuff. It's really odd. I'm gonna get this mica powder. Oh, I think I can just, yeah, it opens up like a pepper container. Oh. I've got mica powder all over my hands. I'm going to try this first because I'm fairly certain that this one came out. It's a different kind of mold material, and I just suspect that the aluminite is a cure inhibitor. I only discovered that after doing all these. So this is just a knob. I just made a knob. It's a nice little knob, isn't it? This one, I'm pretty sure, if it cured correctly, then it should be a good mold or a good casting, because it's just a lemon. It's not a lemon with legs and arms. Oh, I don't think it is. This is really sticky and gooey. It's gooey. Rats. Let's see. Oh boy. Yeah, it's not a great cast. I mean, it's a pretty good cast. It's a good little lemon. But it's sticky. Sticky. It's too sticky. Rats. That's too bad. Too much delaying. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. The arm didn't come out okay. It didn't make it all the way into there. But the leg, surprisingly, except for this bit down here, a little void down there, but it's just gooey. Ugh, it's gross. But yeah, it's a gooey lemon. Yuck, it just feels weird to touch. So I'll try a different mold. Try a different material. I took a couple suggestions from Crafsman. One of them was to cut up chunks of previous molds and fill them in so I don't have to waste the silicone from this one. And one of them kind of floated up to the surface, so it inadvertently made a registration mark, which is something I forgot to do. Anyway, these are the holes left behind from the I don't know what they call this. Well, it's a wire, but it provides a support. Anyway, now we're going to watch this little face get smothered in silicone. see, I have turned on my heater because one of the things I neglected when I was doing this before was that this requires, can you read? 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is something that I've been trying to manage down here in my basement. That it's probably around 65 degrees down here, even when I turn the furnace up. So I have this thermometer that I rarely break out because I rarely even need it. That says it's 74.
And the 2-part mold came out successfully. Also, this final cast came out successfully too, just to prepare you. So here is the gold mica powder, and here's a wine glass I'm going to use as a test flask just to make sure it cures correctly. So I pour the silicone and then I mix in the mica powder and pour it into the test flask. And also, a spoiler alert, I also put it into the flask eventually, which I show here. And this is what it's supposed to look like and feel like. Kind of rubbery and squishy. I really like the way it clings to the side of the glass.
Well, that wasn't intentional.
I'm going to pause this video for just a moment while I take a divergent path to explore what happens when you have a bunch of these things laying around. What I've done is I've decided to mold LEDs into them while they're still in the cup. And I didn't actually use any of these. I switched to a cup that didn't have a dimple in it. And I made this. So let's look over here at that. I turn on the power with the top switch, and the bottom switch turns on a motor. You hear that? And the motor selects one of these lamps at random and turns it on. That's the whole thing. See? It's just fun. And it's kind of hard to focus on which one of these is on in the daylight, but I did want to highlight their texture and how well they diffuse the light. So their texture is really squishy right there, compared to the one in the middle, which is made of resin, which is hard. It's a hard shell. It's more crystalline. But as you'll see, when I operate it manually with these buttons, the light in the squishy ones is quite different from the one in resin. And since it's hard to see in the daylight, I switched to nighttime vision. I just wanted to show you a few of these in the best light possible. I really like this green and this red one. But I think my favorite is the little bitty green one in the corner. You can't hardly see it in the daytime, but at night it's just got this really nice little glow. It's like a little baby bug in the middle of that egg. So now back to the regular video.
But at least we know it's cured. Hey, looky there. Look, it's squishy. It's a squishy lemon. Look at that squishy lemon. Oh, squishy. That's too bad that I forgot to put mold release on the bottom, because the next one I pour won't have this little peg that will make the armhole or leg hole. So that's too bad. See, the little peg came out there. Although I did buy some stuff called silpoxy. It's called silpoxy. I bought it so that I could stick the arms into their sockets. Maybe I can stick the peg back in here. And after successfully casting another lemon body, I went on to make a mold for the limbs. So you can see me pulling the limbs out of their mold, and they're all perfectly formed. I just had to cut off some of the flash after I pulled them out. And I discovered that silpoxy has a very quick cure time. It's only 15 minutes, and the best way for me to make sure that the limbs set in their sockets was to just hold them in one by one. And obviously I'm not going to do that for video, so I'm just going to jump to the part where you see the finished object.